What's up, YouTube? Welcome or welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reacting to a video from the Average Man Unplugged channel. Without further ado, let's get it.
There have been a couple studies recently that have come out about Gen Z men and their perception of women, and surprise, surprise, they're misogynistic and antiquated as hell. In fact, their views as a collective are actually more misogynistic than boomers. Let that sink in for a second. With every study that's come out recently about our generation, it is abundantly clear that men are going one way, women are going the other, and we've never been less alike. And here's my message to men who are in any way still with us. I have a husband who is very desirable to women my age, and I don't say that to sound cocky. The amount of times that we will meet new people, and I have women coming up to me saying, "Where did you find him? Does he have a brother?" And it's not because he's the tallest or the richest or even the smartest guy in the room. I mean, I'm his wife. I obviously think the absolute world of him. I think he's so smart and kind and the best person I've ever met. But I know that's not why I have women coming up to me asking me where I found him. It is because he loves women. And he shows that in how he interacts with them and moves about the world with them. And I think what's so abundantly clear for me when I see my husband interacting with my friends or being the only guy who's ever invited to go out with the girls and be the only man sitting at the table with a bunch of women, which most of you Gen Z dudes would totally cringe at. What I notice most is that women are not used to men making eye contact with them and genuinely caring about what they have to say. And it's you can hold on to misogyny all you want, but the world has moved past it, right? Women are out earning you. Women are more educated than you. And if you as a man continue your life with this Andrew Tate, I hate women propaganda, you're gonna get left behind. Because women don't need men for the same reasons that they needed men 50 years ago, which is where you guys are stuck in. So much of that stuff we can do on our own now. What women look for now is partnership. They want to be cherished. They want someone to add something to their lives. So I think at the end of the day, Gen Z men are worried about all the wrong things, and it comes from a fundamental lack of understanding of women and a fundamental lack of caring to understand women. Talk to women, spend time around women, look them in the eyes, ask them questions about their lives and their careers. Don't make them pull it out of you. The bar is in hell, but you guys still aren't even reaching it.
My God. So this is the verbal equivalent of scratching nails on a chalkboard, as best I can tell. This woman looks to be in her late 20s, maybe early 30s. So she found herself a simp. She found herself a buzzer beater while she still got about 20 eggs left in her body. Here's the thing, guys, okay? Any man who would tolerate this, any man who would marry this on purpose, deserves exactly what he got. Any man who would sit around all day as the only guy in a room full of women gossiping, talking about makeup and the Kardashians, deserves everything that's coming. Nothing about this man is masculine. This guy exists specifically to help her check off a box on her to-do list. She got married. Check. This dude, if it wouldn't surprise me at all if I found out two things. Number one, if this guy drinks 4 or 5 soy milk lattes a day. And number two, if she owns a 15-inch strap-on that she uses on a daily basis. I would not be surprised to find out either. Because those are the only kinds of men who would tolerate this kind of woman. Because what women like this refuse to understand, it's not because they can't, it's because they choose to, is that if holding women to their traditional standards is misogyny, then them expecting us to hold up our end of the bargain traditionally is misandry. But they ain't ready for that conversation.
I really wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt because she's married until I saw what her husband looked like. He fits the aesthetic, especially when she sat up here and said that he's the only man that could sit with all me and all my girls in a room and a table full of women. I'm gonna let you, and y'all men would cringe at that. Yes, we would.
You don't find that suspicious?
Because let me tell you something. If a man can do that, nine times out of 10, I can tell you this right now, that is a performative man. That is a performative man. I'm not trying to sit over here and say that you can't be cordial and cool with other women and shit like that, but I don't know. Any man who is, well, yeah, because clearly she's definitely in her 30s, I would imagine. So more than likely, they're probably looking at your man like, yeah, he's probably considered in your circle, probably cream of the crop. And I don't know. Here's my thing, man. I just, when she said that part, that just made me real suspect of the whole situation. Hold on.
You don't find that suspicious?
Because he loves women. Why come he I don't know. It just sounds very, very performative. Like, you just can't be respectful. Like, damn, bro. I'm like, hell, shit. That's the case, man. You better watch your friends, man. That's all I'm gonna say if they talking like that.
Happy International Women's Day, except it might not be that happy because new research has found that men's attitudes towards women seem to be getting more misogynistic, not less. A new global survey of 23,000 people across 29 different countries has found that 31% of Gen Z men think that women should always obey their husbands. And 1/3 said that the husband should always have the final say on important decisions within the household. And whilst we might like to think about these things getting better over time, these views are not coming from the older generations. In fact, Gen Z men are about twice as likely than baby boomers to agree with these statements. Misogynistic attitudes aren't disappearing, and in fact they're actually getting worse among many young men, and it's not just on a couple of questions. Around 1 in 4 say that women shouldn't appear too independent or self-sufficient. 1/5 thinks that a real woman should never initiate sex themselves. And 21% say that men who take part in childcare are less masculine. Here's where it gets really interesting. Young women are actually moving in the opposite direction. Only 18% of Gen Z women agree that a wife should obey her husband, and in general, young women seem to have much more progressive and equal views about gender roles than men their age. So what we're seeing isn't actually just about views changing over time, it's actually a growing divide between young women and young men. And we've been seeing this in other places too. In many countries across the world, young women are moving towards more progressive parties, whereas young men are either staying the same or becoming more conservative. Therefore, perhaps it's not a surprise that birth rates in many developed countries are falling to record lows. Obviously, there'll be lots of reasons for declining birth rates: the cost of childcare, the cost of housing, the career penalty that women take on when they have kids. But if young women and young men increasingly have very different expectations about relationships, about family life and gender roles, that probably doesn't help either. And these views that young men increasingly hold seem to be harming their own mental health too. Not only do more young men hold more traditional, aka sexist views about women, they also hold more traditional views about themselves and their role in society. They have more traditional expectations of their own behaviour, for example, saying that men should try to be physically tough and shouldn't say I love you to their friends. And whilst women who tend to hold more equal views seem to be getting happier, for men it's the opposite. Across the 29 countries that they looked at, about 55% of women said that they expected to have a better life than their mothers. But optimism from young men about their own future has fallen. Now only 40% of young men say that they expect to have a better life than their fathers. There's a lot of talk about the male loneliness epidemic, and this seems to hold up from this research. Men are becoming increasingly traditionalist in their views, but also increasingly pessimistic about their own lives and their future. These views seem to be making men miserable, and if young men and young women increasingly have completely different expectations and desires about relationships, about home, about family, it's no wonder that an increasing number are deciding to just opt out of traditional relationships altogether.
Gosh, she talks a lot. Proof positive that just because you have a cool British accent does not mean that what you say is intelligent. Look, the thing of the matter is, the study proves a lot that everybody already knows. Yes, women should obey their husbands. Why the hell are you with a man whose leadership you won't follow? Why do women keep saying they want a leader with the intention of being insubordinate? That's stupid. That's bad mate selection. And it's a waste of that man's time and resources. Number 2, men don't want these overly independent Super Saiyan boss babes because for the most part, regardless of her accolades, regardless of whatever her annual salary is, if she can afford to pay her own bills, that's fine. But when that's the only thing she wants to talk about, that becomes her personality. Nothing about that is attractive to men. Number 3, husbands should get the final say on all household matters, especially the big ones, because if anything goes wrong, we already know women are allergic to accountability, and they will find the nearest man they can blame it on if shit goes and hits the fan. So, if the husband's going to get the blame, he ought to also get the acknowledgement and the obedience. Also, women should never initiate sex. That's an odd take. I mean, whoever thinks that, that's what they think. But I believe the exact opposite. I think that in a relationship, it should be the woman running down the man for sexual gratification, because that proves that she's in it to win it, and it's not him chasing up after her. That way, her hypergamy can be temporarily satiated, which is a losing battle, but we'll get into that in another video. She then said that men who take care in childcare are less masculine or are seen that way. I don't go for that. As a father who's got a great relationship with his kids, it's not by accident. I've changed way more diapers than I can count, cleaned up way more vomit than I can count. ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, teach them how to ride a bike as we speak. Yeah, there's nothing Yeah, be involved in your kids' lives, guys, or they become taxpayer burdens for the rest of us later on down the line. What else did she say? I'm trying to remember. But basically, what she's talking about is classic masculinity. This is the thing that men want to be and want to do, that women benefit from, even though they pretend that they don't. We live in a crazy ass world, man. And she thinks she's slick too by trying to conflate traditionalism with sexism. Again, if men wanting women to be women, to speak like women, to behave like women is sexist, then expecting a man to get up in the middle of the night with a baseball bat to investigate the noise coming from downstairs, to put you on the inside when you're walking down the street, to pay for all the dinners and all the dates, as well as grabbing a snow shovel after a blizzard, that's sexist too. But again, they're not ready for that conversation.
Translation, it's men's fault. That's basically, she tried to make the conversation sound equal, but she showed her bias at the end. Let me tell y'all something. The reason why nothing she just said or any of these women so far hold up is because at the end of the day, you women still hold up the patriarchy. You women still hold men to traditional gender roles, whether y'all want to admit it or not. So y'all can sit over here and talk all this progressive shit all the fuck you want, but y'all only want men to think progressively like you where it benefits you.
Bingo.
Because that one woman said, "Oh, we're making more money. We're making more money than y'all now," which is not true, and we're more educated than y'all now, which doesn't mean much because we're still making more than you on average. But I digress. But then on top of all that, and I literally just covered this the other day of a man saying, y'all fought for the right to be able to make just as much or more than a man, and now all y'all do is come online and complain about men not wanting to go 50-50 with a man and not being able to find a man as equally yoked and take over your bills as well as his, or I guess you move in with, I don't know how that's gonna fucking work. But let's be real here. I think one of the key reasons that none of these women are going to admit, the reason why men are trending more traditionally is because y'all are still holding them to that standard. Y'all progressive everywhere else except for what the fuck a man is supposed to do. That's the part all these women are going to continue to leave out. You'll see. Let's continue.
Did you know that Gen Z men, the men in my generation, have more conservative and misogynistic views towards women and gender roles than baby boomers? There is a new study that came out from the UK at the King's College London. They surveyed over 23,000 people from 26 different countries, and I'm going to read you some of the stats because I looked at the report and it is genuinely so scary. The most concerning results were to the question, a woman should always obey her husband, where 31% of Gen Z men either somewhat agreed or strongly agreed with that statement. That's almost a third of the men in my generation. The study proves that men are regressing because of the fact that baby boomers sat at 13% for this question. The next extremely concerning stat was that 59% of Gen Z men think that men are being expected to do too much to support equality. 57% of Gen Z men think that we have gone too far in promoting women's equality, that we are discriminating against men.
Well, this is provably true. What the hell do you think all those DEI programs were about? Putting women in positions they didn't earn just so HR departments could check off some boxes.
There's a few reasons why I think this is happening, but the first big one I think is because of social media. Obviously, the manosphere is extremely dangerous, especially for vulnerable young boys who are still developing. They are gaining an understanding of how they view themselves, how they view the world, how they view other people, how they view women, the kind of values that they want to uphold. And it's obviously becoming more and more conservative because they are seeing red pill men spit out the most awful rhetoric and using terrible terminology such as high value men, high value women, toxic femininity. It's really indoctrinating them to the point where Gen Z men are worse than baby boomers in the way that they think about women. The second reason I think is because men are so used to having privilege. They are so used to holding control and power, especially over women. And now that a lot more women are kind of waking up to the reality of the oppression that we face.
Cut the bullshit, Becky. You're a white woman in a 21st century westernized nation. No humans who have ever lived on this planet are less oppressed than you specifically.
We are having movements where we are refusing to have children with men. There are more single women. Over 50% of us now identify as feminists, which is incredible. We are talking more and more about sexual violence, about domestic violence, because we are understanding just how much men's violence against women affects women worldwide and how deep of a systemic issue it is. And when we call in men to assist us in fighting against things like femicide, rather than taking it as an opportunity to reflect, take accountability, hold others accountable, have empathy, and fight with women for a better world, they just see it as an attack and they begin to project onto women and then revert back to conservative values to continue to hold power.
Man, I just heard a whole bunch of psycho babble, man. Everybody trying to hear all this shit, man. Let me tell you something, bro. This equality shit, man, shout out to Will Miller, man. Pack this shit up, bro. I'm gonna let you know right now. You know why this shit ain't gonna never be equal? Because y'all too busy trying to make everything about y'all. Because men can't even say shit. Like men can't say shit, can't have an opinion, no nothing.
I'm going to be honest with you guys, getting a girlfriend in this dating market in 2026 is really not that hard. I'm going to break it down for y'all, okay? The dating pool these days is so rough because a lot of men, especially Gen Z men, have gone kind of backwards in the terms of like gender roles, and there are literally studies out saying Gen Z men are more misogynist than millennial men. And a lot of us women, we notice that like in the dating pool, a lot of men have these like crazy expectations of how women are supposed to behave and how they're supposed to be. Meanwhile, we also are all like working women. Like you can't really live in America and not work just because you're a woman, like unless you're rich, like you're going to be working. So I say that to say, like if you aren't a red pill dude, you're automatically so much more likely to find a girl to want to date you because you're competing with red pill dudes who we do not like, we do not want to be with. Most of them are incels or they talk and behave like incels. So number one biggest thing, if you are not in that pipeline, then major points to you, you're already off to a great start. And then number two, just take proper care of yourself. Like literally solid hair care, solid skin care is going to take you such a long way. And if you don't know where to start with that, I recommend Base. Like all my guy friends who actually take good care of themselves, they have tried it and they love it, and they have basically everything you could need for self-care. So just ditch that like 2-in-1, 3-in-1 shampoo that you have in your shower right now, and that's going to be a massive upgrade. Like you don't have to be rich or tall. I don't care what the men in the comments are about to say. I know somebody's going to fucking say that. You do not have to be rich to pull a great woman. Okay, you just have to be kind and take decent care of yourself.
I don't think red pill men are telling other men that you don't got to be the tallest, you don't got to be the richest. Well, where do you think the term "become the best version of yourself" came from?
I'll tell you exactly where it came from. Rest in peace to the Godfather Kevin Samuels, who long before he became the first red pill content creator to reach 1 million subscribers, he was telling guys to step their fashion game, their cologne game, their hygiene game, their grooming game up to the next level. Way before he ever took a female caller, he was telling guys to get their asses in the gym and get their shit together.
Came from the very same space you over here trying to shit on. Actually, I would make the argument y'all actually stole that from us and try to make it y'all own. And you start hearing women say it all the fucking time. I originally started hearing men say that first. And it came from the manosphere and RP space. And hearing that is one of the reasons why I started working on myself and started self-improving. Because I knew that's what I had to do in order to even, have more options and have better selection. I consider myself average looking, but most women tell me I'm above average. Dude, I'm 5'7". Well, right now I'm about $145 because y'all know I've been over here trying to get these abs to pop. But I usually walk around about $150. Like, dude, it's like I'm nobody special. I make a little bit more money now. Yeah, I can travel now and shit because I do YouTube. So obviously those things are definitely an upgrade as far as, I guess you could say social status or sexual market value, I guess. I don't know where to put that, frame that under, but man, y'all really gotta quit trying to blame manosphere and RP content for this, because let me tell you something. For the guys that are not on that shit, y'all can believe her all you want, but when you start noticing that These women are still holding you to those traditional gender roles that they claim that they're trying to stray away from, and you notice that you're the only one still doing the traditional gender roles. Don't sit over here and say that the people in the manosphere and the RP didn't warn you.
I keep seeing people losing it over this new data on young men. If you haven't seen the data yet, it shows that a sharply declining number of American boys believe that women should have the same job opportunities as men, or that they should be paid the same for the same work. And I keep seeing people come on here like, parents, what are you doing wrong? What's wrong with your sons? And I just want to ask, if you were told for decades that you're dangerous, that you're privileged, that maybe you're sexist and you don't even know it, wouldn't you overcorrect eventually? We've made men the butt of the jokes for years now. What did you think was going to happen? To be clear, I don't love these trends, and there's a lot that concerns me about the radicalization with young men. All we have to do is look to South Korea and their declining gender dynamics and what that's doing to the marriage rates and the birth rates to see that we don't want that to happen here. But if you don't think that this is 100% understandable, then you haven't been paying attention. Anytime you treat a group like villains, they can only bend so far before they break, and usually it ends up with an overcorrection like this. Tell boys they're misogynistic, and eventually they're going to start identifying that way. Just why this reaction of, well, what's wrong with the boys is so wrong. You're doubling down on exactly this line of thinking that got us here.
She's got a point.
You hear that? Yeah. That was a bar at the end. And she said, y'all literally just doubling down. And I've mentioned this. Other people in the space have mentioned this. The overcorrection of everything is why things are the way they are now. You can only bend so much before you break.
Shout out to this lady. At least she gets it. And shout out to our brother Rome over in the Average Man Unplugged channel. I'm going to leave a link to the original video and pin it to the top comment. Stop by, say hi, and tell him I sent you. But guys, as we leave today, I just want to give you this. We as men have to continue to hold the line. We as men have to continue to hold up a standard. If we lift it up to women, we already know. The only standards they value are double standards. And even then, only the ones that benefit them. Because if modern women didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any at all. Hold the line, gentlemen. Hold the fucking line. That said, that's my time. Like the video, comment down below. Share this video with a friend. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Never let your brother suffer in silence when the truth can set him free. Networkers, we working. Until next time.